The book I would like to show you today is A Legend on the Road. Obviously, the legend is Robert James Fischer, also known as Bobby Fischer. The book practically tried to find all the material of the simuls that Fischer gave in 1964. Practically, if I remember well, Fischer was trying, or Fischer mom gave him the idea of going around to do the simul because in this way he could make the money needed in order to survive and go to the interzonal tournaments or the candidate tournaments or very important tournaments abroad, because in the time, unfortunately, chess was not really regarded really well and sponsored well, and Fischer was really living a poor life in a sense. Also, if thanks to his ego, we could say, and the fact that he was dedicated to chess, he probably was receiving support from a lot of people. In that year he played more than 2,200 simul games. The book doesn't have them all, he has some of them. The part I would like to show you today is relative to the simul in Montreal. Strangely, in the article that is quoted, they say that 56 players played in the simul. In reality, as we can see, they are 55. And the things that is interesting is that practically Fischer played one move every 6 seconds. So every 6 seconds he was playing a move. So it's kind of very, very strong in a sense. For those who ask, because I'm sure you have seen it, there is plus 46 that he won, minus 5 the games he lost, and equal 4. Then, as you can see nearby, there is a plus 10 minus 0 equals 0. What is that? Well, that is a special simul that Fischer gave to expert player using the clock. It seems that previously Grigorich gave a similar simul against expert, but only against 8 experts, and so they were curious to know if Fischer could do better. Grigorich, a very famous player of that time, won all the 8 games, and Fischer, as we can see, won all 10 games. The game I would like to show you today is the following. Is game number 9, played between Fischer White, obviously, and Jobin in Montreal, February 23 in 1964. Okay, so Fischer obviously starts with e4, which is the best by test. His opponent plays e5, knight c3, so this tells us that he wants to play probably the Vienna opening, knight f6, and then there is g3, d5, attacking the center, e takes d5, knight takes d5. By the way, for those who are curious, this chess set is the one from Dubrovnik. They have made many different chess sets in Dubrovnik. I think there was one from like the 1960s that was a Fischer favorite. This one is, I think, a version from the 1970. However, Fischer played a tournament there also in that period. I think this kind of chess set, and maybe I'm wrong, please correct me, for those who like me like to collect chess pieces, maybe it was used in Siegen. There was an Olympiad maybe in 1970, and they use this kind of pieces. I don't remember very well, please correct me, so we can all learn something, because I do believe it's kind of exciting that we can actually play using the pieces of that time. So not only we go back in time thanks to a chess game that has been written, in this case we are watching something that happened in February 24th, 1964, but then we can also use a chess set of that time, so it's kind of very, very interesting, I think. So how did Fischer continue here? He played Queen E2, and here Donaldson, Grandmaster Donaldson, that is the one that published all these books about Fischer, says this is a novelty that has escaped the attention of theory. Normally White would play Bishop G2. Now I don't want to give you all the notes, because again guys, I believe one should buy the books, because the authors have put a lot of hours, and also because probably they need some money to live, right? I mean, they have families, children, like everyone else. I'm sure, especially today, life is very, very expensive, that they need some help. And so that's why I buy the books. Obviously, I'm not rich, and so what do I do is often I buy used books. The thing I don't find right in the used books is the fact that the government strangely is taxing them. Why I don't find it right? Because the point is this: the tax for this book was already paid by the owner number one. Let's say that I'm the 10th owner of this book. So it seems there are 9 people before me that have paid something like $1 of taxes to the government. No? And what does this mean? Is that the taxes paid at the moment would pass the actual cost of a book. And of those $10 of taxes, none goes to the author. And so that's definitely not right. Okay, sorry with this long discussion, but I believe someone at a certain point needs to address the issue. How is possible that if this book is sold 10 times, the government makes money 10 times out of 10, the author makes nothing? And the author is the actual one that wrote the book, right? And why the author makes nothing? Because it's a used book, so he will not get any royalty. So I don't know, it doesn't make much sense. Okay, so after Queen E2 that attacks this, Black plays this move that honestly today we would think belongs to someone who has 1100, 1000 as a rating, because the more natural way is obviously this, right? However, this doesn't mean that is the best move, because probably after this you start to have a problem, right? Why? Because if you play knight takes c3, what do you think happens here? I think here will happen this: check, takes, boom, right? And here white has won a pawn, but not only. Let's say that black plays this, right? So you take back, because obviously otherwise you lose the thing. Attack. And now white can take the material back with d takes c3 or b takes c3, right? If he does b takes c3, has the same problem of black of having a isolated pawn. If he takes d takes c3, he doesn't have an isolated pawn and is able to develop this. Now, in this case, white has a pawn advantage, but I don't know how much it is important, because the real problem is that black has the bishop pair, and that is kind of a real problem. But everybody has different taste, right? So let's just watch the game and see what actually happened in the game. And sorry for making it so long and complain about the government. So we said it was e4, e5, knight c3, knight f6, g3, d5 attacking the center, e takes d5, knight takes d5, and then we saw the queen e2 kind of novelty, with black playing this kind of move, but that doesn't seem much good, right? White continued with bishop g2 developing. As we can see, I think Fischer was trying to do his usual King's Indian attack, Kia, right? Because maybe in 1964 he was still thinking one opening for everything, and he thought that he could use obviously the King's Indian defense for black and the King's Indian attack for white. I don't think that approach really worked well, and I think he gave it up after a little while. Knight takes c3, b takes c3, so he prefers to go toward the center, no matter the fact that he gets this damage. The advantage is that he has got an open file for his rook, right? So that's the advantage. Bishop e7, knight f3, knight d7, d4, castle, castle, bishop d6, c4, e takes d4, knight takes d4, knight c5, bishop a3, and now there is another move that creates weakness in black's camp. However, maybe is understandable. He played c6. Obviously, because why did he play c6? Because he wants to develop this, right? But he can't, because this is under attack, so forced to have to defend it. However, Grandmaster Donaldson says this move weakens black's position. A more solid continuation was rook e8, and then he gives a little continuation, okay? But he played c6. So what does Fischer play in this position? That's kind of interesting. Fischer plays rook a d1. So as you can see, he starts an attack on the d file and the queen. Black immediately move the queen away, queen c7, and Fischer continue with queen knight b3, b6, and queen d2 attacking twice this, right? Bishop e7, knight takes c5, and here there is b takes c5. queen e3, and bishop f5. So finally black has finished the development. We are at move 18. Okay, so what does Fischer do in this position? He plays bishop takes c5, rook f e8, bishop takes e7. This is kind of interesting how Fischer gives up the bishop pair, right? Rook takes c7, queen c5, attacking this, bishop takes e2, rook d2, repelling the assailant, bishop g6, and now there is bishop takes c6. The mundane queen takes c6 was probably more effective, Donaldson says. The text allows for some flashy tactics, but unnecessarily complication. So let's see. So, black plays rook e6. So guys, what would you do here? You are white, what would you play? I think it's important to be in Fischer's shoes, otherwise we will never understand how strong he was. Okay, I hope you pause the video and try to find the thing. The move played by white was rook d6. So rook d6 has obviously a poison inside. What is the poison? That if you take with a rook on d6, what happens? It happens that the white will play bishop d5, check, and then gobble up the queen c7, right? Okay, so let's see, after rook d6 he played rook e8. Okay, rook e8, and I stop at c8. Okay, rook e8 again. This is funny. I'm sorry, I don't know why I stopped on c8, or at least I know it is because I didn't see well. My fault. So, bishop takes e8, queen takes c5, and of course rook takes e6. And now there is a mistake, which is bishop f5. Obviously it seems the best move was to take here right away. Okay, so he played that one. So rook e8. Sorry. So here we go. Yeah, he played bishop f5. Okay. And after bishop f5, white played rook e3, queen takes c4, and rook f e1. It seems instead of rook f e1 it was better to play a3 and keep the pawn. Okay, because obviously you don't want to have a pass pawn that will oblige you to sack one of the rooks or a piece in order to stop it, right? Okay, so let's see how the game continued. After rook f e1, black immediately take, and now there is rook e7, bishop g6, bishop takes g6, h takes g6, and now obviously white want to double up on the 7th, and he plays rook b7. a5, h4. So this h4 tell you one thing, that probably Fischer wants to win, trying to give him checkmate to the enemy king, and so that's why he doesn't care much about a5. Okay, let's see the rest. So rook b7 and a5, yes, and h4 and a4. This is a blunder, okay? Here it says black completely loses his sense of danger. He had chances to draw with king h7, okay? So that's the reason. So black totally missed the point here playing a4 because he didn't realize that he would enter in a mating net. Probably in 1964 maybe they didn't have enough books or training about tactics and tactical patterns. Here once he plays a4 it's quite simple. There is check, king here, rook bb8, oops, right? So also if he tries to escape he can't, it's over. So what he can do is this, right? But then there is this, and then with this the game is kind of over. If he plays queen f7, rook takes f7. If he plays king h6, rook h8 is still checkmate. So what should have done instead of a4, if I remember well, let's see, it was this was the position. So here instead of a4, black should have played probably this right away, and now when he plays this it doesn't matter because you have this move, check, right? And then king g2, and then f5, and this is controlled by the queen there, so that solves the problem, right? So I don't know, it seems that black missed. Let's see another thing that I would like to see, just to be sure. I don't remember if it was there. Yes, I think it was there. So he plays this, right? And now let's say that the other guy play this with the idea of giving checkmate, and of course he plays this to avoid that, but oops, and in this way black is able to escape. So I think that yeah, a4 was a little too fast, right? Nothing. As you can see, this was the game number 9 for the simul given in Montreal. It's interesting to notice that the strength of the players in the simul was from I think 1700 to 2100. But over 50 boards is not a joke, and to move every 6 seconds is kind of very fast. Also, if of course gives probably more than 3 minutes to think to the other player, no, the last player. Okay, so here there are also a lot of stories. There is one game from the clock simul, so it's kind of interesting, and I think we should watch it next. Okay? Thank you very much for watching. This was the book A Legend on the Road by John Donaldson.